representation.
Maspoti semakhaya nakwindawo ngendawo enibukeleni kuzo. A very warm welcome to this week's episode of Yilungelo Lakho, your consumer rights TV show, coming to you live on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Ewe kaloku namkelekile kwisiqendu sale veki senkqubo yethu. Igama lam nguSisanda Jonas. Nanjengesiqhelo ke siza kuthekhameni kwethuba sivula iminxeba yethu apha estudio kuba nawe uthabathe inxaxheba. Lo nombolo kaloku ithi 011 714 6918 okanye 011-714-6919. Kanti ungasithumelela ne-SMS ngokuthi uthumele igama elithi right ku-33726 okanye usithumelele i-email ku-consumer@sabc.co.za. ungasindwendwela nakwi-Facebook page yethu ethi Yilungelo Lakho okanye usithumelele i-tweet ku-Yilungelo. The tax filing season has kicked off, and this time the process has been made even much easier than before for taxpayers to file their returns. Consumers have also been called upon to file on time and not miss the series of deadlines the taxman offers to avoid penalties. This year, the Revenue Office hopes to increase collections compared to previous years.
Abaqokeleli berhafu baphinde benza omnye umtsi olula kulonyaka wokuba ukwazi ube nako ungenisa amaxwebhu akho erhafu. Ukuba ungaphantsi kweminyaka engama-65 ubudala, usamkela ama-59,750 ngonyaka. Le nkqubo yokungenisa kwamaphepha ngobuxhakaxhaka beekhompyutha neyaziwa ngokuba yi-e-filing iyakwenza lula ubomi bakho. Le ndlela ye-e-filing iyakuba yinzuzo kwabo bamkela 120 lamawaka nangaphezu komnombo omnye wentsebenzo ngokohlengahlengiso lonyaka ophelileyo. Le filing system ngokwasemzini iza kunika umtyhi kubathengi abasebenzisa unxibelelwano lweminxeba, i-smartphones nolunye uhlobo loqhagamshelwano, ingakumbi abo abasebenzisa ii-cellphones. Ikho inkangeleko yokuba abamibeli loMzantsi Afrika banegxathu abalenzayo lentsebenziswano ngokwale nkqubo yokungeniswa kwamaphepha erhafu. Kwiminyaka emibini edlulileyo, inani labo babhalise ukuxhuzulelwa imali yerhafu linyuke kabini layokuthi xhaxhe ku-13.7 million. Eli sebe laseRisic apha eRhawutini lelinye lamaziko amaxhaphethu kakhulu. Ongumlawuli uJina Gongxeka uphalaze imbilini yakhe ngelithi okokoko iqalisile le session yerhafu bangenelwa ngabantu abangaphezu kwama-2,000 ngosuku begxalathelana besiza kule office, nto leyo ebanyanzela uba bavule ingekathi tha nemitha yelanga.
Sizoyivula i-filing season. Sinabantu abebeza la in numbers sibajikisa ukuthi ayikavulwa i-filing season, and then from May 1st we're overwhelmed. Abantu baza ngobuningi babo. We've seen 1,009 the first day, and we are seeing more than 2,000 people daily. And it's very humbling.
Apha abahlawuli berhafu bema kwimintyangampo isithuba seeyure ezimbini nesiqingatha. Uninzi luyayilandela le nkqubo, ingekuba besoyika ukugxagxanyiswa ngabaqokeleli berhafu, koko banethemba lokuba baza kufumana imbuyekezo. Ongumphathiswa wezimali uPravin Gordhan uthi 6 eshumini siba nento eyifumanayo. Igqiza lelungelo likhe lancaza abemi beli abangenangxaki nokuhlawula kwerhafu.
The country needs to run. It needs to run, and it makes things better for other people who don't have employment. and then it assists everyone basically. It runs the country.
Semcoka sikhona ukwaziwa singabi nje ehlathini ngivele ngibe businessman wasehlathini.
Balekile ukuthi sibuyisele back to angisho sibuyisela ama tax ethu.
Ixesha eliqingqelwe ukungeniswa kwamaphepha buqu ngeposi okanye ngokwathi chwa ezibhokisini zakwaSARS nguSeptemba wama-28. Xinikweni ixesha elisikelwe abo bangenisa amaxwebhu abo ngobuxhakaxhaka beekhompyutha kumasebe akwaSARS ngumhla wama-23 kuNovemba. Le nkqubo yokungeniswa kwamaxwebhu erhafu equka umndilili isungelwe ekuqaleni kwenyanga. Kulindele ukuba iphele ngomhla wama-31 kuJanuwari wonyaka ozayo. Ndinguzinziswa Mani, Yilungelo Lakho, eGauteng.
Thanks a lot, Zinzimani, for that introductory story. Now, to take our discussion further on tax matters and all you need to know as a consumer, let's welcome our guests, and we're pleased to be joined by Rupert Ndlovu from the South African Revenue Service. Siphinde samkele noLuthando Mvovo, yena ke usuka kwisebe lemicimbi yezemali. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Mhlambe ke xa sesiqala inkqubo yethu ndizawuqala ngawe Rupert, and ndikubuze to take us through the basic principles of what is tax and the different types of tax we get.
I-tax kuyimali lebhadalwa ngabantu labaphila eveni lelibuswa ngento yelinyenti, which is a democratic state. So labantu laba ngikhuluma ngemuntu lothola imali ngokuthi uyasebenza noma uthola imali ngokuthi uchuba ibhizinisi. Labo bantu labo ke kufanele ukuthi ba-register na-SARS kuphinde babhadale i-tax. The types of tax that SARS is administering. I will mention a few, but I believe it's almost 21 taxes that we're administering. The tax, income tax, which is personal income tax. Individual filing season. Personal income tax. Okay. Company income tax. VAT, which is an indirect tax that can be claimed and paid by people who are conducting a business. But as a consumer, we are paying VAT indirectly if we consume or if we buy whatever we want to consume. Spinza sibe ne payroll tax lokuyi imali lehlangane ne tax le basebendi labayibhadala ku SARS. For example, as I'm working for SARS, SARS must pay over that money to the recipient, which is the receiver. Therefore, that is the pay as you earn. Sipinza sibe ne dividends tax. Ngito inhlobo le tax leti ijwayelekile. Kodwa diningi le inhlobo lote faka bo excise tax, which is customs related.
But so chilo wathi into esingayo apha namhlanje ile personal
PIT,
income
which is
tax.
personal income
Yes.
tax.
If I'm a first-time taxpayer now, what's the process to follow?
If you're a first-time taxpayer, obviously you should have been registered by now. If not, if it means you are working but you're not registered, you're not that compliant. It means that you have to register first, and then as soon as the window period opens up, because the window period has already opened up as from the 1st of July. So, long umkhangaso la sicududela khona or encourage registered taxpayers to submit personal income tax returns. And the way that they submit a personal income tax return, they can only get the personal income tax return only on request. It's either you walk into the branch office or submit your returns via e-filing, all right, or a manual way of submitting, which is not a channel that we really encouraging because it is not that faster than submitting in a branch or using e-filing. So what is important here, or what has changed over the years since 2008, when you get into the branch, you'll find that your return is already pre-populated. So complete. What you have to do is just to compare your RP5 that you have together with the tax return to see if everything is corresponding. And if you are happy with everything, then you need to complete your traveling allowances if it's applicable, your medical expenses if it's applicable, and your retirement annuity fund if it's applicable, and then you file your return. Then you wait for SARS to assess the return and will give you the assessment outcomes. And now my assessment outcomes now, I'll talk to two things. It's either we owe you something or you need to pay something to SARS.
umuntu uyakwazi ungena kuni, this information is readily available for consumers.
Provided the employer has reconciled and submitted the information to SARS, the information is readily available with us, meaning your return is complete. What you need to do is to check if it's properly completed and complete the information that we don't have. Like your medical expenses, we don't have that. Your traveling expenses, we don't have.
And
your
that's what you
retirement.
bring with
and
you.
that's what you bring with you.
Yes.
So you need substantiating documentation, your certificates. Firstly, in terms of medical aid or to claim your medical expenses, you need a medical tax certificate. To claim your traveling expenses, you need your travel logbook for the entire year, which is 1 March 2011 to 29 February 2012. And to claim your retirement annuity, you need your retirement annuity tax certificate. So without those documentation, provided everything is applicable, you cannot be able to submit.
All right, Luthando Mandize kuwe ubalekile kakhulu lo mba sithetha ngawo namhlanje kodwa ndifuna usichazele kabanzi on why it's important for consumers to pay tax.
Inkosi Sisanda. Kudla ngokuthiwa kunezinto ezimbini esiqinisekileyo bazakwenzeka. Yokuqala kufa, isibini ukuhlawula irhafu.
Yes.
Now wonke umuntu oyi-citizen okanye ngumhlali welizwe unoxanduva lokuhlawula irhafu. Imali ethi uSARS ayikoleke iya kwingxowa karhulumente ebizwa ngoba yi-National Revenue Fund. Kulapho umphathiswa wezezimali athatha khona imali anike amasebe ngamasebe. Lo mali ihlawula ititshala, ihlawula amapolisa, ihlawula yakha izibhedlela, yakha izikolo, irana administration ka-government. Now xa ke kwenzeka abantu bangayihlawuli tax, loo nto lityala ngokuqala. Okwesibini, administration karhulumente izawuba. Sibonile umzekelo kumazwe anjengeGreece, ne-Ireland, ne-Italy, i-impact yokungahlawuli, yokungabi namali karhulumente. Now imali eninzi urhulumente athi ayisebenzise kwi-expenditure yakhe isuka kwimali yerhafu. Enye ke i-shortfall iba yimali mboleko urhulumente athi ayiboleke.
I'm just wondering though if as much as this is an informative show and we've seen on our inset abantu bachaza into yokubana why they have to pay tax. Do people really understand it or there's this thing at the back of their minds, if I don't do it it's punishable, but do they understand exactly where this money is going?
I think in general abantu bayaqonda ukuba kutheni bebhatala ihlawula irhafu, but bakhona abangekafundiseki ngenhlawulo yerhafu. I think i-challenge iba kwicandelo elikoleka irhafu uba lifundise abantu. And I think inkqubo ezinjengale yakho ziyanceda ukuthi abantu bazi ukuthe gabalala ngenhlawulo ye-tax. And abanye ke ngokuva ebantwini bafuna ukubona ukuba yenzani imali yabo.
All right. For now, let's take an ad break. But before we do that, let me remind you that you can call us on our studio line 011-714-6918 okanye ku-714-6919 ukuphawula okanye ke ukufumana ingcaciso kwiindwendwe zethu or email us to consumer@sabc.co.za okanye ungasindwendwela kwi-Facebook page yethu Yilungelo Lakho okanye usithumelele i-tweet ku-Yilungelo. Please join us after this. Masiphinde sikwamkele mbukeli sasho kuxa imiba yohlawulo lwerhafu kulo nyaka sikuwo nako konke ekufuneka ukwazile njengomthengi. My guests, Rupert Ndlovu from the South African Revenue Service and Luthando Mvovo, are trying to help us understand the importance of filing your tax returns on time, to help us understand the process of filing, why we pay taxes and what happens to the taxes you pay. Our studio call-in line number is 011-714-6918 or 714-6919. You can send us an SMS uqaleke ngegama elithi right ku 33726 okanye ungasindwendwela kwi-Facebook page yethu Yilungelo Lakho or send us a tweet to Yilungelo. After deductions for a pension or retirement annuity fund, we know that the rest of your wage then is taxed according to different rates. Can you explain to us what determines the amount you pay as income tax? Okay. What determines the amount that you pay for income tax is actually the salary that you're getting. We've got different threshold in terms of what you should be paying, and we are using the tax table there. But when it comes to the submission of return,
we are actually expecting everyone who's earning above 120,000 to submit a return. But there are different levels of people or with different ages that need to submit a return. For example, a person that is below under 65 years of age who earns an annual salary of 59,750 from one or more sources and earning more than 120,000 in the 2012 tax year, which is 1 March 2011 to 29 February 2012, that person is expected to submit a return. If I'm between the ages of 65 and 75, earning an amount of 94,350 or above 120,000, I'm expected to submit a return. If I'm above 75 years old, earning an amount of 104,260 or more than 120,000, I'm expected to submit a return. Or if I conduct a business, I'm expected to submit a return. But remember that a tax will only be levied on a business person only if a profit has been made. All right? So those are the people who are supposed to be paying a tax. It might happen that I'm earning 59,000, not 120,000, but I've got allowable deductions, like your traveling allowances, your medical aid. I'm also expected to submit a return. It might also happen that I've sold or let off some of my properties. I need to account or show that income. Okay. Or it might happen that I've got a capital gain or capital loss of 20,000. I'm also expected to submit a return.
All right, we do have a caller on the line, Sydney from Hammanskraal. Sydney, welcome to the program. Sydney.
Hello, Manujani.
Ndiyaphila Nkosi kunjani?
Ngiyaphila.
Thetha kunye nathi buti.
Ngicela ukubuza sisasande labo obubhuti lapho. Ukuthi how come ukuthi bathi umuntu ukweleta i-tax? Kodwa bona yibo bayidonsa i-tax. Bengifuna nje ukwazi lapho ukuthi umuntu uyikweleta kanjani i-tax angakaze aye ka-SARS ayobhadala i-tax ngoba bayayidonsa from emsebenzini esalareni.
Alright, Nkosi kakhulu Sydney. Ngizawucela uphendule Rupert.
Ngicabanga ukuthi i-question lenhle kakhulu because i-tax ifaka abantu laba 3. There's SARS as the collector and the administrator. There's an employer if we're talking about umsebenzi or employment, and there's an employee. So SARS has got an arrangement with the employer to say, for the fact that you're paying the employee, you need to deduct a particular amount of tax. And the employer do not just deduct the money. So we deduct based on a guideline. There's a guide, there's a book that will give them to say, if a person earns so much, you need to deduct so much tax. And then you pay over that money to SARS. But what happens? The reason why we have an individual tax season is for us to see if the employer deducted correctly. So that's why if you hear a person getting a refund, it means there was an over deduction of tax during the 12-month period. But if you hear a person having to pay something to SARS, there was an under deduction of tax during the 12-month period.
Over deduction and under deduction?
There can be a number of reasons. It might be there was no proper deduction, or they got an information late, because every year we give them new rates. Because angithi tax iyachinja njalo nje. That's why Uva, Minister of Finance, saying we have put back so much billion to the pockets of the taxpayers, meaning we are increasing the tax threshold each and every year. It might happen that the employer is using the previous information or previous guideline, and that might impact on the tax. Moreover, that it might happen that probably you've got a medical allowance, and you paid a lot of expenses on your medical allowance. Therefore, that might create or might put you on a refund situation. But this is an arrangement between 3 parties: the employer, SARS, and the employee.
Okay, I do have Tulani from KZN. Tulani wamkelekile nkubeni?
Yebo sanibona.
Hello Puti.
Ninjani?
Ndiyaphila Nkosi.
Sikhona. Mina ngine questions la kubhuti lo osesitulwa kaNdlovu. Nginenkinga la ngangisebenza kwenye ama-companies enkulu engeke ngisho ngegama. Le company uma nganginama-shares kuyo, so then manje ngifuna ukuthengisa ama-shares wami kuyo, angisasebenzi kuyo. So manje bona bathi bafuna i-tax number yami. Mangifonela kwa-SARS ngifuna i-tax number, kwa-SARS bangibuza ama-questions, bafuna i-residential address. Uma ngibanika bona i-information abanayo bathi mina ngangihlala ePretoria and I've never been, angizange ngihlala ePretoria empilweni yami.
All right.
And the other isicelo sami esinye besicela ukuthi nisilethele at least i-satellite office yakwa-SARS la eVryheid.
Okay.
Since mina ngumuntu ophila with disability wahamba nge-wheelchair, ngifuna ukusubmita i-medical tax return yami.
All right. Enkosi kakhulu Thulani. Rupert?
Ngiyacabanga if ufonela, let's say ngiyacabanga but ufonela i-contact center. If ufonela i-contact center, remember there's one thing that we always assure taxpayers: confidentiality. So if you phone the contact center, we first have to establish whether you are the correct person. And if probably we're not satisfied with the information, then we doubt whether the person is correct or not. But then, uma ucela i-tax number, I see into lenzima kakhulu. Angafonela 0800 007 277. Yes, mhlambe bambute 1-2 questions so that they can determine the authenticity of that person. If that is the case, they will gladly give the tax number to him. Angathi ukuthi yinto kwende kwaba makhulu kangaka ukuthi bangamniki i-tax number. Uma akhuluma ngokuthi useVryheid, siyathi ukuthi kunetindzawo letiningi la kungana SARS presence where people need our services. And what we have pledged to people is that we'll make it a point ukuthi we reach out to everywhere they are. I think we have, from where I'm coming from, it's a unit that is called outreach or education. So our job is to go out to people, educate them, and service them during campaigns like the individual filing season. We do that by setting up our point of services at a number of municipalities, and we are also going to have point of services at a number of centers and malls. So I think my counterparts in KZN, they are still coming to the nearest mall or nearest municipality.
All right, we'll talk more about that.
Yes.
Now, Thembi Ngosi on the line from Gauteng. Thembi Ngosi wamkelekile Nkqubeni. Thembi Ngosi. Thembi Ngosi. Doesn't look like Thembi Ngosi is there. Makeke siphinde sibuyele evenkileni. Please stay with us. Very warm welcome to you. Sisashukuxa ke umba uhlawulo rhafu lwalonyaka nendlela ezintsha ezizisiweyo ke kulonyaka ukwenzela ukuba kube lula ukwenza i-tax returns zakho. Kaloku ukuba awafakanga ngethuba amaphepha akho erhafu uyakudibana ke nesohlwayo siqatha. Ngoko namhlanje sithetha ke ngokubaluleka koku nokuba kutheni na uhlawula irhafu kwaye nokuba iyaphi isetyenziswa kanjani imali oyihlawulayo. Ukuthatha ke inxaxheba sitsalela umnxeba ku-011 714 6918 okanye 7146919. Ungasithumelela ke SMS ku 33726. You can also send us an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively, join us on Facebook, Yilungelo Lakho. You can send us a tweet to @Yilungelo. Manibuyele kuwe ke Luthando, in terms of indima ye-National Treasury xa kufikelela ke kuhlawulo lwerhafu.
Inkosi Sisanda, indima okanye irole yethu singu-National Treasury sikuqulunqa umthetho werhafu. Siyadicide ukuba yeyiphi irhafu ekufuneka si-introduce or irhafu ekufanele uba yehliswe. Sibheka izinto ezininzi ezinjenge-inflation, izinga lokwenyuka nokwehla kwemali, izinto ezinjenge-economic growth, izinto ezinjenge-expenditure karhulumente. If urhulumente ufuna ukuchitha imali kwakheni indlela or ufuna ukwakha izibhedlela, sibheka izinto ezinjalo. So ethu indima kuqulunqa umthetho siwuse eParlamente, upasiswe eParlamente uzawunika amagunya uSARS ukuthi akoleke imali.
Ndingatsho umsebenzi wenu uxhomekeke ekubeni abantu bahlawule irhafu. Ngokubona kwenu, are South Africans complying and are you satisfied?
Sicinga njalo kwiveki nje ezimbini ezidlulileyo umphathiswa wezimali nomcommissioner wakwa-SARS benze i-announcement ukuba abantu abarejistileyo abarejiste ukuhlawula irhaf benyukile ngokuphindaphinde kabini bayi-13 million. So leyo i-positive sign ukuthi abantu bayiqonda indima yabo ekufanele bayidlale xa kuza kwezerhaf.
All right, we do have Jeanette from Gauteng. Jeanette, welcome to the program.
Kunjani sisi?
Ngiyaphila, inkosi kunjani?
Ngiyaphila, ngiyabonga ukuthola ithuba. Sithi nginemibuzanyana nje engaba mithathu. Okokuqala bengithanda nje ukwazi ukuthi awumuphi umuntu o entitled ukuthola a tax refund. Ngibuza lo mbuzo because siyathola ukuthi kukhona abantu that will submit amaphepha wabo and after some time they will get a refund. So if umsebenzi nje say you don't have medical aid, you don't have all these other allowances like petrol and car allowances, stuff like that, and you earning say more than 120,000 rand per annum.
All right.
So kahle ke ubani umuntu o entitled ekutholeni the tax.
Okay, umbuzo wakho wesibini?
Umbuzo wami yiyo lo ngifuna ukwazi nje ukuthi umuphi umuntu noma umsebenzi olungelwe ukuthola i-tax refund.
Enkosi kakhulu ke tata. Robert.
Uma ngachaza nje cishe i-question engathi yabhida, might not be specific, but njengoba bengichazile ukuthi umuntu ohola imali engaka or more than 120,000 fanele submit a return. So the process from there ukuthi so receive le return sesiyayibala siyakubalela yona, which is part of the assessment in the tax language. So is the assessment that will tell us whether the person must get a refund or he must pay something. Like I've said before, if there was an over deduction of tax by your employer during the 12-month period, then chances are that definitely you'll get a refund. There are a number of employees who are earning above 120,000, having a traveling allowance, having a medical aid. A traveling allowance is allocated by an employer to do duties of the employer. But those are expenses as well, which must be claimed with SARS. So if you claim those expenses, you claim your medical certificate, your medical expenses. For example, I have a medical aid, all right? And I paid 2,000 rand out of my own pocket. And that amount was never covered by the medical aid. So it means I'm in better chances of getting a refund, all right? So really it depends on the assessment that we do for you that will tell us to say you get a refund or not. But what I must caution abantu, noma engifuna ukuchazela abantu ukuthi iSARS ayinikana ama refund. iSARS iya collector so that my colleague can be able to allocate enough money to the different departments to provide us with basic services. But refund is because you are eligible for it. It doesn't mean ukuthi labantu bonke labangena ema-branchini noma abafaka ama-return then kufanele bathole i-refund. To submit a return, it's plain compliance, of which yiko esiduduzela abantu ukuthi bakwenze. It's what we are encouraging people to do. If you are a registered taxpayer and during this time or the campaign of individual tax season, you are therefore expected to submit a return.
All right,
but the refund will only be a result of the assessment, not as the motivator of submitting a return.
Rupert, you know what comes to mind now is when people ask these questions, you wonder whether there's enough information that gets to people to actually understand exactly what happens. I know that when SARS was launching the tax season, they went to taxi ranks, bus stops and whatnot, just to push this drive. Is there information that's going out to the public, apart from having this particular drive having started on the 1st of July, but beyond July?
I'm actually coming from a unit called Taxpayer Engagement. The unit is responsible for education and campaign. So every week or every day, our job is to educate people. It's either siphuma siye ebantwini or people come to our branches and we educate them on a number of taxes. During individual tax season, we visit employer premises to avoid people having to leave their work to come and queue at the office. So we're saving production time. At the very same time, we're offering one of the best and delightful services ever, because we come wherever you are. Like Jongo Puti Begashilo was a Ferenachel. Ama malls, amaning is your visitor, Lomyaga. So Pindas visiting our shopping centers. So we've got what we call co-locations. Like I said, not that SARS has got a presence everywhere. So we use and partner with local municipalities to co-locate with them so that we can give service to the local residents.
All right, we
But
do have
in
a caller.
terms of education, we really...
Caller on the line, Siyabonga from the Eastern Cape. Siyabonga.
Hello, Mama.
Hello, Mama.
Sir.
Thetha nathi bhuti.
On 2007, May, ngenda employer agent, but isebenzela Department of Water Affairs Construction, not Limpopo. I worked there for about 3 years. Then the contract I was on a contract basis because then sebenza for agent. Manje njalo ukudikela phone ngabantu baseSARS bangitshela ukuthi they are all SARS from 2007 until to date. Ngokwinkinga yami ngise-Eastern Cape manje andikwazi ukudibana nabantu abayi-employers zami ezazinto le agent ayisa-exist manje, but usazi ngitshela ukuthi mna ngiyam-owa and imali ngoku is got interest enayo eyenzekayo. So ndingathini na ke ngoku? Ndicela ubuza kwabantu bakwaSARS uba ndingathini na.
Andiyazi uba Rupert ungakwazi uthetha naye uSiyabonga ngoku.
Ngoku. Bhuti, uke wasubmitha ema-return since 2007. Awukwazi usubmit?
Into eyenzekayo bhuti ngo-2000 I think 2008 yaregister icompany as a sole proprietor, ECC. Ngoku after that but andiyisebenzise but after that SARS I think it was yamnika ama-bank details everything. I think they babonile wona uba ikhona income eyenzekayo kum, but yayekho income ilanto isalary yam leyo. So ngoku ndifumana ezo letter and the calls from SARS ezithi mna ndihamba owa imali somashelanga up until 2000. Nangoku besandifonela izolo benditshela ukuthi mna ikhona imali endiowayo mandiye kwi-SARS office ekufutshane kum.
All right, Siyabonga. Rupert?
Ubhuti ngathi ukhuluma nga-2 scenarios.
All right.
Ubale
Masizama uyiphendula ke after this. For now, let's take another commercial break. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Usabukele inkqubo Yilungelo Lakho, it's your right. Sisazaza ngqo ke ku SABC1 Mzansi for sure. Remember, you can take part in this show by calling us on 011-714-6918 or 714-6919. Okanye ungasithumelela ke igama elithi right nge-SMS ku 33726. We do have a caller on the line, Michael from Eastern Cape. Michael, wamkelekile enkqubeni.
Hello, Sisi.
Hello, Dad.
Sisi, the question is, I'm working for this company, and they are taxed on my salary, and whatever I have on top of the salary is still taxed. But to me, can't tax on so what because but you find it that you go to Star, or can you any shop, or buy the airtime, but on that airtime is inclusive because the tax is there. So I'm paying tax double. So to me, the more I take the tax, it's actually stronger because we take from 7 European tax also take in the location.
All right. Enkosi kakhulu ke Michael from the Eastern Cape. Ngicela siqale ngombuzo wokuqala wekhola yethu phambi koba siye evenkileni. Yena uye wathi uthetha ngento ezimbini.
Bhuti lo fonile ngiyacabanga bekakhuluma nga 2 things. Ngizawuzama ke sisi ukuthi ngichaze and ngithembe ke ukuthi ngidokhona kumphendula. Firstly, ukhulume ngokuthi akaza submit a return but he's registered. Currently, if you are registered or if you registered in 2007 like him, and never submitted a return, obviously those returns are required. You should have submitted them, right? So for the fact that you have not submitted, mhlawumbe ukhuluma ngemali which is called the administrative penalties. So if ungasubmit ama returns for the prior years, obviously there will be an amount of penalty levied on your account which is called administrative penalties. This is what we're trying to tell people to say, submit your return on time so that you comply to avoid these penalties.
Right.
Because once penalty is cut, so submit like this year, all right? After the 23rd of November and after the second month, after that, your account will be levied with administrative penalties. It means there will be 250 rand every month going into your account.
And that's what is noted as well.
Yes, up until you submit the return. That 250 will only stop once you submit the return. That is called the administrative penalties, all right? And ukhulume futhi nge-CC. ICC, remember, it's a separate legal entity. ICC, it's paying its own taxes. So if it happens that he submitted returns for the CC with the profit and there was tax that was supposed to be paid by him, mhlambe bafuna leyo mali leyo. Kodwa uma une-CC uphinde usebenza noma you getting money from the CC, it means as an individual, I need to submit my personal return, and the CC as a separate legal entity must submit its own return.
Okay,
right.
I understand that. We do have another caller on the line, Mbati from Opumagayana Genjona Koloni. Mbati, wamkelekile nkqubeni. Hello, Mama. Mbati, ngizawucela ungicimele i-TV yakho kuqala phambi kokuba uthethe kunye nathi. Enkosi kakhulu, ungathetha ke?
Ndinombuzo engicela ukubuza kwangoku because ndikule process yale tax return apha kwasazi ndihamba nobhuti uthethayo qha ingxaki yam yilena thina indebe esebenza kuyo iye ya-under liquidation. Ngoku into eyenzekayo i-employer yethu siyazi uba iphina because savele saxelelwa nge-16 kaSeptemba last year uba kuyavalwa itshonile. Ngoku kwathi ke ngoku ezi-RIP forms sizazifumana kuloya kwi-liquidators. Ngoku ingxaki le kathi siya kwi-liquidators asifumani mkhondo and siyayifuna siyafuna ukuva kwaSARS uba kuqhubeka ntoni nge-tax return yethu because siqale safumana tax return. But ndihamba nobhuti uba uthi nangaba utekswe yonke le ayinanselayo handifuna ukuwe ke ngothina singenza njani xa ke ngosingazifumana za-RP form for ukuya kwaSARS because siyafuna ukuya siqonde ubana siyayifumana okanye asiyifumani. Ndicela ngosingabantu abangaphangeliyo and zasatsalelwa imali ngosifuna uqonde ndingenza njani.
Enkosi kakhulu ke Mbathi. Rupert?
Okay. Taxes, it's called a year of assessment, or is submitted on the basis of a year of assessment, which is a 12-month period. Lo 2012 esikhuluma ngayo usuka 1 March 2011 to 29 February. Usisi uma ngimva kahle uthi the company got liquidated in September, which is no longer a year of assessment, but a period of assessment, meaning is shorter than 12 months, which is 7 months. Uma kunjalo, still lo sisi kufanele asubmit i-return yakhe, which will not be 12 months in terms of the RP5, will only be 7 months. Inkinga kodwa lengimva akhuluma ngayo uthi abakhona ukuthola ama-RP5. And ngithe kuwe mina uma kuqala le show, the employer is supposed to reconcile and give us the information for the immediate employees. So ngithamba ukuthi employer irreconcile. If ingaka-reconcile, usisi kufanele athintane with her nearest branch so that we can see how we assist her. But remember, it will be very much difficult for her to file a return if the employer has not submitted the information to SARS. Kodwa akumelanga thule nje, fanele avakashele the nearest SARS office.
I hope she does get the help, because when we were speaking to her, it sounded as if she's saying she is at a SARS branch as we speak. I'm not sure about that. But let me come to you, Lutando. Earlier on, we had a call from Michael who was complaining about tax on his salary and tax when you're buying goods, and that's your VAT. How do we compare South Africa with other countries when it comes to our tax?
Well, South Africa lelinye lamazwe abhatala izinga lokubhatalwa kwe-tax kanye rate ye-tax iphakathi Because as you know, income gap in South Africa is wide kakhulu. Sinabantu abahola kakhulu, sinabantu abahola kancinci. Now, the system yethu ebantwini is a system ekuthiwa progressive system. So, bhatala i-half ngokomrholo ofumanayo. Abantu abahola kakhulu babhatala i-half enkulu. Kwamanye amazwe bane-system ebizwa ngoba i-flat rate ye-tax. For example, if i-30% ungumuntu ubhatala i-30%. ESouth Africa, if uhola kakhulu, ubhatala i-40%. So we ubhatala i-maximum rate. If uhola kancinci and we bracket yokubhatala i-tax, ubhatala 18%. Ukunyuka ngomvuzo wakho. Now we VAT, I think xa compare namanye amazwe siphansi kakhulu ngokwe-rate. Amazwe amaninzi i-rate yabo i-20%, 18%, ineseku-14%. The-average rate, VAT rate e-Africa is about 15%, e-Europe is about 33%. Personal income tax average rate e-Africa is 29%. Europe is about 31%.
All right, so basically utwena thina eMzantsi Afrika
And
singaphakathi.
izinto esizijongayo xa sidetermine i-rate.
All right. We do have a caller on the line, uZinhle from KZN. Zinhle wamkelekile enkqubeni? Oh, Zinhle ke we seem to have lost uZinhle there. Masiphinde ke sibuyele emalikeni siqhubeke ke ngengxoxo yethu xa sibuyayo. Okay. Ompumtu. Welcome back, and we continue with our discussion on tax matters. Earlier on, Pam ngoba siye evenkileni sithethe ngoba bekwikhola yethu ekheyathi bana why do I have to pay VAT and also pay my personal income tax? Abantu bayakhala ngoba nangona usichazela ukuba iphakathi eMzantsi Afrika, I'm sure abantu basenento ethi isephezulu kakhulu.
Andicingi kanjalo sisandana. Wonke umuntu unoxanduva lokubhatala i-half njengoba nditshilo, but abanye khona abantu abasebenzayo, khona abantu abafumana umvuzo, khona abantu abangafumani umvuzo. Khona abantu abatyebileyo, khona abantu abahluphekileyo. But i-system ye-VAT idesignwe ngendlela yokuba wonke umuntu kufuneka akwazi ukucontributa kwi-fiscus. Now, i-system yenzeka ihlabathi lonke, wonke amazwe anezitax ezimbini. Because if asinayo i-VAT, for example, kuzawunyanzeleka ukuba abantu abafumana umvuzo bahlawule i-tax kakhulu. Yes.
All right. We do have a caller on the line, Patricia from Limpopo. Patricia, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hello, Mama.
No problem. Kochanga bo vacation in 2010. Sino barumelwa marisi nga SARS bari banyagazi IRP5 za 2008, 9, 10, 11 and bacha mshumoni waboy ababa tiyezo zinozo kunyageya and then mariti SARS akadida and another penalties so at dilizori batu zitisana ngor mariti still now akadida na penalties mara hange bacha mshumoni waboy baba chimaka government baba rumela from pillar to post.
All right. Enkosi kakhulu ke Patricia Rupert, I hope you understood that.
Angitholanga kahle kodwa ngimvile ukhuluma nge-RP5 I think 2009, 10 and administrative penalties kodwa angimtholanga kahle ukuthi
ufuna uthini na kanye kanye.
Angimtholanga kahle.
All right, then ngicela sidlule kancinci ngicela uxolo na ku Patricia for that, but filing has been made much easier this season. Talk to us about that.
Yes, it has, and ngicabanga ukuthi abantu or people that has already submitted, they can advocate on that because they've witnessed that. People abangena emabranchini bakhona ukusubmit abaservicewe ngokushesha nangokugculisayo baphinde bathole assessment yabo same time. So whilst uhleli nale consultant, you can get to see your assessment outcomes on the very same time. Kodwa after 48 hours, definitely you will then get what we call an ITA 34. That will tell you to say this is what you'll be paying or this is what you'll be getting. That will be the final outcome. Moreover, that since we introduced e-filing, we're actually encouraging people to use e-filing because it comes with a number of benefits. Number one, it is much more faster than any channel or equivalent to the branch channel, but it's much more convenient because our queue a branch uhlala e-officini lakho, provided you've got access to a computer with internet, you can register on e-filing and submit the return using the e-filing.
Right.
You can save the return online and check your status, how much you'll be getting or how much you'll be paying. New innovation. Currently, SARS is testing the Help You e-file and the e-filing app and the mobile site. It means bantu batokhona kusebenzisa ama smartphones wabo to file a return. But I must make it a point and make it clear ukuthi it's currently in a testing stage. In the next few weeks, SARS is going to make an announcement to say this has been tested and we are satisfied that it's working and people can start using it because it's touch on the go. So it will be much more convenient for people, especially the ones who like to access YouTube and the ones who are technologically friends.
We'll come back to you on that one just to find out how the process is working. As we wrap up, just as an advice to taxpayers out there and also reminding us on the importance of why we pay tax.
Kubalulekile uba abantu babhatala i-tax and encourage ukuthi baqhubeke bebhatala i-tax. South Africans zine-reputation enhle yokubhatala i-tax. If ubheka iminyaka yonke imali ye-revenue ibisenyuka. So it's important ukuthi abantu babhatale i-tax ukwenza basiqhubeke nokwenza izinto ezinhle, sibafakele imibane, bafakele amanzi, nemali grant yabantu abadala inyuke. Because the money so it's very important for our
All right. Thank you very much. Ngelishwa ke babukela ixesha linomona ngeba ke siyaqhubeka incoko yethu xa besinako ukulolula ke ixesha. I would like to thank my guests for their time to be on this show. Sibulele nani babukeli ukuba nathi ke kude kube ngoku sibulela nangegalelo lenu. Please join us again next week on Friday for Consumer Topic of the Week from 1:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. Xa ufuna ke impinde yenkqubo zeYilungelo Lakho, please tune in on the same channel on Mondays from 9:30 to 10:30. Kindly email your thoughts about this program and possible topic suggestions to consumer@sabc.co.za or send us a fax to 011-714-6420. Alternatively, catch us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. From me, Sisanda, Jonas, and the entire team, it's goodbye. Nimele xesha limnandi.